and this will be pretty much a prediction of the 2024 election, assuming if Trump and Biden ran. So, and I think they will run again in 2024. This will be based on my predictions and plus, things that are happening today, like inflation, jobs, and, whatever. So I just wanted to get started. These are pretty much states that are going to go safe for Joe Biden. I mean, these have no chance. They're so Democratic that I don't see them, going Republican or even closer. Um, we'll include. I mean, yeah, we're going to include Hawaii. Oh, and if we forgot Massachusetts, don't forget Massachusetts. Um, these are the states that are going to go safe for Donald Trump. These are the states that are pretty much reliably, Republican here. Louisiana, Arkansas, Missouri, Tennessee, Kentucky, Tennessee, Indiana, West Virginia, South Carolina, Alabama, and Mississippi. So these are pretty much the safes and not safes. And where should we start? Let's start with the Northeast here. Maine at the first congressional district will go Democratic. I mean, it's pretty obvious. The cities they tend to vote Democratic. Second congressional district, more rural, vote Republican again, and I think safe this time. Maine at large though, it could be close, but I think it's going to go lean, somewhat like 2016, maybe a little closer here. New Hampshire. Ooh, this one's a tough one. New Hampshire. It's very anti-incumbent state. It hates incumbents. It voted against George W. Bush in 2000. 2004. It voted, Mitt Romney, kind of almost got this, but, not that much. It's pretty much an anti-incumbent state. But I think it's going to go maybe tilt. It could go either way here. New Hampshire could go either way. I think it's going to go tilt at the end of the day here. It's a very flip flopper state. It always votes, candidates, in big numbers, I guess. Like, I almost voted for Trump in 2016, Joe Biden 7, stuff like that. Ohio, I think we'll go safe. At this point, we'll go Iowa. Iowa and Ohio, despite the nation going 3 points to the left in 2020, these two states pretty much stayed where they were at compared to 2016. Maybe even move a point or two more democratic. It surprised me too. Wow, because Ohio and Iowa. They're flip floppers. They tend to vote differently. Like they're never a guarantee here. Iowa, barely voted for Bush in 2004, and that was the first time it voted Republican since 1984. Ohio, though, Ohio is going to be like the Missouri here. It's just going to, continue voting for Republican. And the blue collar jobs in Ohio, they pretty much, trended Republican here. The only places that really got a shift here were, the cities here. Here's like the blue collar, the automobile, workers right around here. And you can see, a lot of shift, in eastern Ohio because this is where the blue collar people live in. And it'll continue, to shift. And I think it's going to go safe, probably like a 12 to 13 points. I could be, inventing these numbers out of my ass, but, that's what I think. North Carolina, I think will pull out a likely, like the last video, and I think Florida likely because these two states, they did shift. Florida shifted to the right, actually. But North Carolina did shift a bit to the left, but, not that much. Florida, on the other hand, due to the Hispanic vote, it voted, to Cuban American vote. Due to that, it voted, much more Republican than 2016. 2 3 points more, but, I'm talking about, raw vote numbers here. But, if you can see here, Miami, this is where a lot of the Cuban Americans live in. Miami area, Fort Lauderdale. These are the 2020 results, a lot of Democrats. But here's a shift. You could see Miami, the areas, the Cuban American, the Hispanic areas in Palm Beach, Pompano Beach, especially Miami. Just look at that Kendall, Miami, Homestead. a lot of shift here. And yeah, I mean, you could tell you 30, 70, 30, 70, 30, 40 points, 20 points, whoa, did I see a 90 points? It's probably like a little precinct there, but, a lot of shift here. I mean, if you zoom out, I mean, Miami, I mean, it did go for Joe Biden in 2020 for 7.4 points for Biden, but, the margin here was greatly shrunk. Voted 22 points more Republican. It could flip, and I think it will flip the next election here. Um, this county too, Osceola County, shifted to Republican because, again, the Hispanic vote here, let me exit that. The Hispanic vote here has, trended Republican. And I think Florida, in turn, will go likely in this case. It's like a 7-point win. And they're not too keen, on Joe Biden. Georgia, I think Georgia will go lean. And here's why. I mean, it's a southern state, they vote more Republican. But I don't think it's going to go, in the 2004, 2012 era, when Georgia voted pretty heavily Republican. I don't think that's happening again or in this foreseeable future because a lot of Northerners from New York, this area here, they're flooding into Georgia. They're moving in and they're bringing their policies with them, the ways they voted. They vote for Democratic candidates in, their original states. And oh my God, the states here are turning into crap. So they, move to different states and then they, vote for the same people that, made their states turn to crap. And, cycle continues. It's like in California. People, they flock, to other states and, they vote for the same people. But that's the reason why it's going to go lean. I don't see it going, safe in the foreseeable future. I mean, it's trending Democratic as we speak. Virginia, I think we'll go lean. And here's why Joe Biden's approval rating in Virginia is just tanking by the second. And plus with the election of a recent, what was his name? I forgot his name. But that election there last month was a surprise. I got surprised at that election. Youngkin, it was his name. I was surprised that Youngkin won. I mean, 2 points. I mean, the 2 points is 2 points. I mean, Joe Biden won this by 10 points last time. But I don't see Trump winning this because Virginia is a very establishmentarian state here. And it votes for establishments, candidates for that. And Joe Biden is one of them. Trump isn't. So I think it will go lean, like a 4 point, almost approaching 5 points here, almost likely. But we'll see here. Again, in the North, the Midwest, I mean, again, I think it'll go for Trump. Wisconsin will go, this one will be like a 4 point, almost close to likely. So Pennsylvania, because, Joe Biden's approval rating in these areas are just tanking. Pretty much the whole nation is taking. If you look at real clear politics, I mean, its approval rating, I mean, doesn't look too good. It's at, 10% spread, almost a 10% spread, 42-51. And, it's pretty, big, disapproval rating. I think it's almost as, bad as Trump's in 2017. But I think even worse probably at this point, if you, exclude the, the very, liberal pollsters, then yeah, it's worse. But yeah, and his approval rating in the Midwest and in the industrial areas is not that happy right now. I mean, so that's why I'll give, Michigan a tilt, I think, too. I mean, Detroit's a heavy, Democratic city. But, again, the industrial areas, they'll vote for Trump again and in a higher margin. They're not maxed out yet. The Republicans are not maxed out at all in Michigan. The Democrats, however, are maxed out in the, in the cities. So they could pull out, Trump could win Michigan again, like in 2016. And it'll be beautiful. Wisconsin, yeah, I think it'll be like between a lean, like a 4 to 6 point win. Minnesota, it did went close to Trump in 2016, but I don't see it flipping right now to the Republicans as of right now. Yes, Biden's approval rating is kind of tanking there too, but I mean, in Minnesota, it voted 7 points, towards Biden. Oh, you could say for the same case of here, but this isn't as swingy as New Hampshire. I could see Trump, almost pulling out a win here. I mean, he can. I mean, He realistically can, but it's not. I don't see it. Going Republican for now. Trump could get improvements here in the Iron Range here, and he will get improvements again. But for now, I don't see that. Out. Voting the Milwaukee, not the Milwaukee, the Twin City area. Okay, Nebraska's second congressional district. I think we'll go tilt. This one will be close here, and here's why: because of the urban vote trending Democratic, the rural areas, voting much more Republican. I don't see this going likely like in 2012 and, safe in the elections prior. So I don't see that, going, heavily Republican. This will be like a very close one. This could go either way, to be honest. Texas, I go safe. Because Texas here, I mean, they're not really, the Hispanic vote here, again, is trending Republican. Like in Florida, the Mexican American vote here is trending Republican. Here's a shift from 2016. A lot of the border areas are, have trended Republican significantly. In the southern Texas, like Laredo, Corpus Christi. I mean, Corpus Christi is more of a, white town, but, the Hispanic areas of Del Rio, McAllen, Brownsville, a lot of Hispanic, Americans decided to vote for Trump, shifted heavily. I mean, Trump flipped, Zapata County, which hasn't voted Republican since 1920 until, this election here. That was significant. I mean, and Trump was close to flipping a few other counties here. I mean, it was close here. I mean, that was unexpected. I didn't even expect that. I mean, that was just amazing, actually. I mean, look, 18 points more Republican. This county, Zapata, voted 55 points more Republican, Stark County. So I could see Trump really, really pulling in the vote here again. He's not maxed out at all. And he could, unlike in 2020, in 2024, Trump could pull Joe Biden's actual record across the border. The disaster has been in the border. And Trump will get the Hispanic vote even more. He could flip, Webb County. He could flip a lot of other counties here in the border regions. He can make New Mexico closer, Arizona closer. It's not done yet. And Trump has to get some of that suburban, vote again. He's not too good in the suburban vote. I have to admit it at that, compared to other candidates. But I think he could pull out. He could reverse this. But I think it'll go like a 10 points or 11 points here. Not too crazy. I mean, he go either way. But I think 10 points. Not either way as in, Democrat, but like likely and safe. New Mexico, I think will go lean. And Colorado, I think safe, because Colorado voted like, 15, 16 points Democratic in 2020? I mean, I could see shifts like in the industrial areas. I mean, in the industrial areas, they're not too happy with, Biden's, I mean, look, job growth, disappoints in November with just 210. They expected 500,000 jobs in November. Inflation is high, 39-year high. I mean, it's increasing, and blue collar areas all around the country, they're not too happy with that. That's why in the Midwest, I'm giving this to pretty much Trump here, because all this factors in here. I mean, they're not going to forget their struggles on inflation. They're not going to forget the slow recovery of Joe Biden. They're not going to forget that. Yeah, Joe Biden's, approval rating could recover, but they're never going to forget that. They're never going to forget all this. Gas prices, they're not going to forget. They're not going to forget Joe Biden canceling the Keystone Pipeline and other pipelines. Joe Biden was handled, a, energy independent country. I mean, it was handled, Trump basically did all this, and he made gas, he increased the production of gas in Alaska and these states. I mean, we were pretty much almost towards self-sufficiency until Joe Biden came in and destroyed everything. And people in New Mexico, all oil areas here in western Texas, New Mexico, even parts of California and the Midwest here, they're not too happy on that Joe Biden canceled the Keystone Pipeline. And they're not going to forget that. They won't. And that's why New Mexico will go closer. Colorado, I mean, Denver and Boulder, they're too Democratic. I mean, I don't think that, I mean, they could be 10 to 11 points, but I don't see Colorado really going in, flipping Republican like it did in the 2000s. Nevada, again, with the Hispanic vote, I think we'll go lean. Arizona, we'll put in toss-up for now. Here's why. Nevada. Yes, Nevada did, actually it shifted Republican in 2020. It shifted a little more Republican. And it's because of the Hispanic vote in Las Vegas. You can see in Las Vegas here. Sorry, talking is, making my mouth dry. But, Las Vegas has a heavy Hispanic Mexican American population, and it really trended Republican here. I mean, look at this. Yeah, I mean, it's still kind of voted, pretty Democratic here, but it trended a lot Republican. And Clark County voted more Republican than in 2016. Just a little bit, but, it did vote. However, Reno, it shifted more Democratic here, and that's a bad thing. I mean, but Nevada, as a whole, did vote more Republican. So, and the Hispanic vote will really, really help Trump here. And he'll pull off Nevada from the Democrats. Reno, I mean, he'll make improvements again with Reno. Arizona's a tough one. I don't see Arizona going back to 2012 levels, 2008 levels, 2006, 2004 levels, 2000 levels. I think it'll be like the lean, like a 2-3 point win like in 2016. I don't see Trump, winning this too much because unlike in Arizona, yeah, Arizona does have a Hispanic, population here, but Arizona is more of a white college educated state. It's like Colorado, essentially. And Trump will make inroads with these people, but it's not going to be 2004, 2008 levels, 2012 levels even, because again, a lot of Californians are moving into Arizona, and that's pretty much shifting that. I mean, if you look at the shift here in Arizona, just look at the shift here. I mean, yeah, the Hispanic areas did vote more Republican, in the border and even the Phoenix Hispanic areas. But the whole city and the metro overall voted, more Democratic. It actually shifted quite a good, amount Democratic. Although, the suburbs still voted pretty Republican. But the Phoenix and its area here voted pretty Democratic. But the areas here, the suburbs voted Republican. Tucson's the same story. And again, Arizona has a lot of college-educated people. And yes, Trump will make inroads with these people, but it's not going to be enough, to make a likely or, 10-point win. It's going to be like a 3-point win, around there. And Trump could make Rhode Island likely. It's trending more Republican, especially its rural areas, but, he's not, making these likely. But yeah, that's pretty much my prediction here for December of 2021. Trump at 319, 219 for Biden. Trump could win the popular vote here by like a percent or two due to the, again, with the Hispanic vote, blue collar, vote, going more Republican. He could, win the popular vote this time. So yeah, this is my election map for 2021. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll, see you in the next video. Alrighty, guys. Goodbye.